Hello everybody, my name is Danilo and today I'll be presenting you the Albanian fiscalization and general information about it. So to start, I will speak about history of this fiscal law, and this fiscal law name is Law on Invoice and Circulation Monitoring System. On December 18th, 2019, it was approved by Albanian Parliament. After 2 months, on January 2020, it was published by Official Gazette. On August the same year, so 2020, it was entered into force the rules regarding and the defined start of this online fiscalization obligation. And a year after, so January 2021, it became mandatory for e-invoicing for cashless B2G transactions. July 2021 is also one important date in this history of this fiscal law, where mandatory e-invoicing for cashless B2B transaction was enforced. And lastly, September 2021, mandatory e-invoice reporting for cash B2C transactions, regardless of the tax liability and annual turnover. So from September 2021, everybody needs to issue the e-invoice for the B2C transactions. So main fiscal requirements, basically fiscalization type is online fiscalization, so software fiscalization. You need to register all of your store on the Albanian market. You have a post-application certification. I will speak about that a little bit after this. And registration of the solution-related elements is required on this fiscal law. Also, fiscal device certification, so hardware device certification is not present on this fiscal law. And like I said in the beginning, online communication with the tax authority is mandatory. So main conditions for the start of the fiscalization is fulfillment of all conditions for using this adequate software solution. So acquiring an electronic certificate from National Agency for Information for signing these transactions. And of course, establishing a permanent internet connection to the tax authority. You need to provide information with all your places and business activities in which your business activities are carried out. Of course, POSes and all the cash transactions and operations that issuing the receipt. And the maintainer of the software is also mandatory to be, let's say, described. Some small overview of this fiscal law is, first of all, where is fiscal law to be followed? So any space used to exercising to supply of the goods provision of services, so any closed or open place, any self-service equipment, so vending machines, ATMs or e-banking, one or several parts of the premises of the business, and any mobile business vehicles. So everybody needs to follow this law. Also any place that the taxpayer uses for temporary exercise of an activity of users or occasionally for organizing fairs or other activities are also needs to be followed by the law. Any place of business for activities carried out, location of the client and payment for services or goods delivered is made in the cash directly at the place where the goods or services were supplied. So everybody needs to follow this fiscal law. What are the fiscal transactions? So basically we have sale transactions, returns, advance payment, the voids, invoices, and of course gift card sales is permitted in this law. Negative receipts are allowed as well. To make story a little bit more in detail and to speak about complexity of this fiscal law, so the complexity is to find the right provider for your environment and architecture. So on the market, there are a lot of different types of POS software providers, software for fiscalization of receipt, software for fiscalization of accompanying invoices, and of course software for recording e-invoices paid by non-cash means of payment, and of course multiple options or all at once can be done. You need to follow strict offline scenarios, so 48 hours for reauthorization, and the reauthorization of the transaction in case of inability to establish an internet connection needs to be done. During that, let's say, process, you need to follow the complex documentation that needs to be delivered to the tax offices electronically or even in some cases in person. And when we speak about other complexities, every store and POS has to be registered at the tax authority through the central platform of invoices. So they call it self-care portal at least 24 hours before opening the store. So the understanding of the registration and deregistration process is very, very complex, and change of the reported data or closing to the store has to be, of course, reported again to the self-care portal. Process of closing POSs on point of sales and stores are also complex tasks. So complete interaction is done with a local language, which is of course very unique and hard for international retailers. Official documentation does not have clear instructions, like always, of course, in any fiscalization around the globe. And of course, different types of digital certificates needs to be used. And of course, I mentioned also self-care portal is not easy to use and to handle. One more complexity that I want to mention is mandatory usage of official certificates for the signing of the transactions that I mentioned in the beginning. So complex procedures and filling out applications and documentation for Albanian portal. And of course, language barriers is always there, like I mentioned. Timeframes are always, let's say, comprehensive and difficult to follow, and timeframes for issuing the certificates as well. And monitoring of that expiring dates for those certificates are very complex, and you need to find your team who will be following that. What can we as a fiscal solution do for you? We can provide all needed information through a portal and the workshop sessions, suggest, of course, the right provider for your environment and architecture. We can explain you and educate you of the entire process related to the offline scenarios, which are very important because your store can be stuck and sales can be stopped if you don't follow the specific procedures. We can guide you and support you for registration and deregistration procedures for your stores, for your businesses, for your cash registers. And of course, we can monitor and let's say monitor and manage demanding procedures regarding the closing stores via portal on the Albanian tax authority. We can help you with mandatory process of obtaining a digital certificates, of course, and we can follow up you with the regular updates about the introduction of the changes of the new fiscal requirements, because like you know, every fiscalization is changing from time to time, and the changes are occurring every year. So we can follow up with you with that and give you the relevant news and alerts. So our recommendation for the next step is first to take a fiscal workshop, so get a legal and technical details and explain, and of course from the business side as well. Be ready to make your best decision, and of course you have 30 days of ongoing support for all your questions and doubts that you maybe have, or you can immediately subscribe to our portal, fiscal portal, and get all detailed information, like I said, legal, business, and the technical one, and all of that translated on English, not only translated like a fiscal law, but translated into retail language. And of course, you can get relevant news and alerts in case of big changes and important changes. So, thank you.